guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm off to go get some lunch here, and I thought I would make a quick video because it's been a little bit since I updated you guys on the car. So the last thing where we left off was the fuel pump controller. That issue has been taken care of. Essentially the solution was not to run a DC motor driver, but to run a second fuel pump controller and have the ECU control both of them. So there was a little bit of wiring that had to be done, which took a while. Had to order a bunch of different terminals and tools and yada yada yada. Didn't make a video on it because I really don't think that there's going to be too many people who are out there looking to do that. And if you are, you know, probably are experienced enough to kind of solve it or do it yourself. But I will put a link with kind of the wiring diagram and what I did and all the different connectors and whatnot that I used. That was actually the hardest part, was finding the right Crimp terminals. And a buddy of mine, Stanley, helped me, sort of what he does for a living. And he was able to kind of navigate that ecosystem really quickly and kind of find me the right terminals. Turns out the ones that iWire sells is not the right one, or it's the right terminal but not for the right gauge wire that we need in this car. So it's just better to go and buy those terminals yourself. They're pretty cheap. They're like pennies on the dollar. It's the tool to crimp it that's somewhat expensive. So that's done. The car still needs to get tuned, but everything looks like it's running fine. The fuel pump sender has been installed. So this is the one that's post filter. This is the pressure reading right here, 52, 53 PSI. And I've actually got another fuel pump sender that will be installed under the hood. So this is the one that plugs into the TGV delete or the TGV input or harness input on the passenger side of the car. That's the one that Cobb sells, and supposedly because you're plugging into the TGV delete, the Cobb tuner can do certain things where if they see fuel pressure drop, maybe retard some timing, whatever it may be, to help protect the motor. I think technically I could wire my fuel pump, my sender, fuel pressure sender from back there, from the back of the car, the trunk of the car, into the TGV harness. But I'm a little lazy, and there's some other things going on that, I don't know, I'd rather use something off the shelf from Cobb. No harm. So that's gonna happen. Maybe I'll do an install video on that, but it's pretty straightforward. Let's see, what else have we done? We've done a lot of rewiring in the car to clean stuff up, just because I had all the tools and had all the wires to do everything. Essentially rewired the datalogger, the telemetry system, added some kind of like bus bars or terminal bars down here. It's not a super clean setup, but it's giving me expansion for when I want to add additional things into the car. So I've got a 12 volt bar over here, and then essentially this is like an input to the telemetry system down here. I've got some of the analog inputs already pre-wired to the bus bar, as well as some of the GPIO inputs, input-outputs wired to the bus bar, so I've got some expandability in there. It's not the cleanest thing in the whole wide world, but you know, having the stock interior in the front, there's not really a lot of places where I can put it, so this will have to do. Also took some time to label and reprogram the data logger a little bit. So now with fuel pressure and some other stuff, I've got 4 alerts on my heads-up kind of Shift X2. I've got oil pressure on the left, oil temperature, fuel pump pressure, and then coolant temperature. And you can see oil temperature and coolant are blue right now, so it's telling me the car is cold. And as they warm up to the right temperatures, I think oil temp will go to yellow at a certain range, and then when it's in the right range, go green, and then coolant will just go from blue to green. I don't know, maybe I can program it to do some yellow. Essentially, once everything's warmed up, I should have 3 green LEDs here. And that's a sign for me that I can essentially go full beans at the track, right? So 3 green is good to go. And then as oil temp gets too high or coolant temp gets too high, it'll turn red and start blinking at me. That way I know quickly that there's something wrong with the car or that it's time to slow down. Same thing over here with oil pressure. I don't have it set to green. Oh, look, you can see coolant has gone to green, so we're at the right temperature for coolant now. Oil pressure is essentially just blue and red. Cold or hot or too low, like there's something wrong with pressure. I don't have it set to green. I guess I could. It would make more sense. And I think that's about it. A couple of, well, let's see. There's one other thing, or there's a laundry list of things that needs to get done with the car actually. Still. So I don't know if I mentioned it, but we got to get it tuned, and that should be happening here in the next, I think, 2 weeks, give or take. And then I've got these Tirex sensors, which I sort of teased on Instagram. They're infrared sensors that you mount into the wheel wells of the car, and it'll read the surface temperature of the tire and record into the data logger, and then I can go back and replay a lap and look at the tires, and essentially it'll allow me to tune the tire pressures quickly after each session. Typically you could do this with a pyrometer, but you know, it's really hard to pull into the hot pits with hot tires and jump out of the car and get the pyrometer and test everything. I've tried it, it takes too long. So I'm hoping with the IR sensors, I can get an instantaneous reading coming right out of a corner and just go back into the data logger and see what's going on with the tires. There's some challenges, I think, with that as well, like mounting them, especially because the front wheels turn. So that'll be one thing. And then we've just got a couple small things that need to be taken care of, right? Brakes need to be bled. I think the coolant ducts or the cooling ducts for the brakes need to be hooked up because I think one of them popped off. Car's got to get corner balanced and realigned. And I think I'm going to do it this time because we have the surge tank in. I'm going to do it with way less fuel in the car. Previously, we're optimizing corner balancing and alignment in the car for about 3/4 of a full tank. And in this case, I think we're going to optimize it for somewhere around 3/8 of a tank to half a tank. So a little bit less, just because with the surge tank, we don't have to run with a full tank anymore. So we can save some weight in the rear of the car. And maybe, net a couple tenths or a tenth or two here at the track. So I think that's about it in terms of updates for the car. We're almost there. Hopefully in a month we'll be back at the track just in time for nice weather here in California. Hopefully we skip the rainy season. I know we're getting off to a late start here, but better late than never. And I really look forward to seeing what we can get out of the car this year. Hopefully we can, hopefully it's faster. Spent all this money, it better be faster, right? And I guess that's it. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in and watching. We'll update you maybe I'll update you guys when I get the Tirex stuff installed. That one seems pretty cool. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, put it in the comment section. We'll get to it when I get a chance. And thank you very much for watching. We'll see you at the next one. Take care.